It is a beautiful late October afternoon. It's probably about 65 degrees, which is great, but we have had 2 or 3 hard freezes, and I wanted to show you what has happened to our plants, our gardens, after about 3 hard freezes, and some of the things that I have learned. So we're going to walk around and do a little bit of a check. This is where the pumpkins were hanging. This is our arched trellis, and as you can see, all the foliage is dead. The peas are dead. For some reason, the marigold bush that has struggled all season is now producing prolific marigolds. Go figure. But everything else here is gone. Now, one of the things that I learned, here is some basil that is also just about gone. But look at the seed pods. We should have a lot of volunteers, plus I'm going to collect some of those seeds. These are my peppers, and the frost actually helps them just a little bit. I'll be harvesting these a little bit later this afternoon. But one of the things that I learned is there in the corner of the house, we have a right angle with a little flat place in between the two, and notice that some of those leaves are still growing just fine. And so that's a little niche that I can use as protection for the heat or the cold, because those plants are still alive compared with some of the other ones that are all shriveled up and have lost all of their leaves. So that's pretty good. Here is where we had our 8-ball zucchini. So everything here is dead, and I'll be pulling all of this out, building the soil back up. Here is our new Vigo garden, and sadly I did not get anything planted in it for fall. I had the best of intentions, but we all know about good intentions. One of the things that we are going to do and show on a video is to run another arched trellis between those 2 Vigo gardens. And obviously they are not at the same level, but it won't matter. The arched trellis can just go from one to the other. So we'll be doing that in a video. I hope we can get that done in just a few weeks before it gets too super cold. And then here is our 3rd Vigo garden. I have to level this. I have to move it aside. The front end is a little bit taller than the back end. And then we will have another one where I'm standing. So we'll have 4 total ones out here. And hopefully we'll have those ready to plant in the spring. And we'll work through the winter to get those ready. Here is the cattle watering trough that we just did our experiment in. And if you can take a look in here, you can see how far down the soil level has receded. It used to be right up to the top, and now it has receded probably 8 to 10 inches below where it was. So I'll be building this one back up again. We have a volunteer bull's blood beet and some more volunteer peas that are coming in. And then this whole wad of peas is the foliage is doing spectacular. It gets way cold at night, probably down into the very low 30s, but the daytimes are still 60s, even approaching 70. I picked 1 pea pod off of here this morning and ate it for breakfast, and it was still really good. So I've learned that peas do really well in the fall time. Now over here, apple tree is starting to turn, asparagus is turning, and then we have a lot of overgrowth of these herbs. And so I'll be coming out here to clean things up, getting ready for spring again. And this is our largest fruit tree guild right here. This is Russian sage, which still has a few little blooms on the top, and I see an occasional bee. Everything else is wrapping up for the fall and getting ready for winter. Comfrey is flattened, so it will be dying back, and those leaves I may take and put elsewhere so that they can help give more nutrients to soil where it is needed. And of course, our tomatoes are completely gone. So sad. Here is a little dead pumpkin plant that runs along here, and it gave us 2 pumpkins. The one that we looked at first, I have 7 pumpkins ripening on my kitchen counter. So over here we have been stockpiling my favorite Kellogg raised bed and potting mix, and this is what I'll be filling the tops of the Vigo gardens with. And along with those black bags that are right there are full of yard waste, and those will go down in the very bottom of the Vigo gardens. Along then on the top, we'll put in that Kellogg potting soil, and then this organic steer compost we'll put on the very top. That seemed to work very, very well. So we are thinking about spring, and we're starting to prepare. I'll be coming out here and taking down all of the dead stuff and getting those beds ready to go. Leaning up against the garage over in the shadows, these are the 16-foot cattle panels that we will be using to make the arched trellises. So we'll be using those as well. So that about wraps up what our little garden spots look like right now. And we are hoping with every season that we can get better at growing things out here in the middle of the desert. So thanks for joining me on this little walk around our yard. This is a lovely time of year. I quite like the fall. I love the slant of the sun, and kind of helps make everything look more golden than it already is.